Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We are your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Back to normal this week.
Yeah.
I went solo last week. Luke was at Big 12 Media Day, as I mentioned in that episode. And Luke, how are you? And how was that experience at the Big 12 Media Day for those? I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, right?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Or Tuesday, Wednesday?
Wednesday. No, yeah, I'm doing good. It's as you were telling me earlier, it's raining in KC. It was pouring in KC. It is raining here somewhat, not a ton. We'll see how. I think it's supposed to rain more, but no. Big 12 Media Days is fun. Women's and men's Big 12 basketball covering for K-State Collegian, covering K-State. Each team's gonna be pretty good this year, and I just knocking out an article from it. I'm still writing stuff from it. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, women's basketball should be. It was just a cool experience, but both teams should be good. I was actually exhausted. I took a nap on Wednesday. I don't take naps. I'm anti-nap. And I took a nap Wednesday afterwards because I was so exhausted. But it was really cool, and I'm looking forward to both the basketball seasons. Even now, K-State football is looking much better. Big should beat Houston this weekend, but big game next week against Texas. And you got Tang and men's basketball. Yoka Lee's back for women's. It's looking good. It's looking good. K-State sports came here perfect time. Looking good.
Yeah, and like your schedule, the NFL was very jam-packed this week with storylines and a lot of shocking upsets, and it was a really weird week. And it feels like we've been saying that every time we record an episode where we say it's a weird week, but week 7 was by far, I think, the most unorthodox week so far this season. A lot of upsets, a lot of teams playing down to their competition, and even week 6 was even teams playing down to their competition. But this week, there were a lot of upsets and a lot of games that I did not expect to play out the way they did.
No, yeah, I think some of it, honestly, I think I was a little less surprised by some stuff than you were. But it was good. I think that everyone, you sort of think of everyone here and then everyone else here, and then it's just throughout the season, it shrinks closer and closer together. And it'll probably get back up as the season ends. But in this dog days, close to trade deadlines, they're getting closer together.
Yeah, and I think another thing to also realize is that teams don't really peak until a little bit after Thanksgiving. So you're going to see some up and down performances, some inconsistency, and that's been on display at least the first 7 weeks. So today's episode, pretty jam-packed. We will be talking about a handful of games that we thought kind of stole the headlines for week 7. We will be making picks. Our playoff seeding picks, we'll be redoing those based on what we've seen.
Going through our old ones,
Yeah, we will be mentioning what we did. Probably look pretty stupid now that we've seen things play out, but we will be doing that. And then we will close out the episode with our week 8 predictions. Mm-hmm. So the first game, we are highlighting 4 games from this past week. The first game we are going to talk about is the Ravens and the Lions. And the Ravens absolutely dominated this game. And it really was over after the first quarter. I believe it was 21-0 after the first quarter. And Ravens, I think, scored on their first 4 possessions, maybe 5 possessions. I want to say they scored on the first 4. Lamar, something I want to see from him, and a reason why I had doubts about him was his pocket play, but he has definitely been a very good pocket quarterback this year. I do want to see some playoff success, but I think right now he's passing, all the tests right now, and I've been really impressed with his pocket play.
I think I know if you look at his MVP year, it's oh, that was such a great year, and it was. But in terms as a winning quarterback, he's much better now than he was then.
Sure.
Much better, and I think that was on display. I mean, he doesn't even have great weapons, but he was dealing. And if you look at it, the Ravens got screwed by the refs against the Colts. They should have won that game, and 7 drops versus the Steelers. I mean, I know that you could say it with a lot of teams, you could even say it with the Chiefs right now, but man, the Ravens could be undefeated, and they look good. They are all around good team, and just taking down the Lions after everyone was talking up the Lions and then just destroyed them.
Yeah, and another thing I've been really impressed with, coming to the year, I had a lot of questions about, Ravens defense, how it was going to hold up, and the receivers. And the receivers were actually very solid in week 7. I thought Zay Flowers was very good. Rashad Bateman was solid. But the defense has been, I think the key part of this team having that success. I think offensively, we expected them to, have success, but defensively was the main question I had on his team. But yeah, they dominated the Lions. And Jared Goff, I think he's a good quarterback, but on the road and when it gets colder, I am interested to see how he plays when the weather gets cold, the climate's not as quarterback friendly, and we've seen in the past he struggles on the road. Now this year he's been much better, but that is something I am going to look forward to later in the year as well.
I felt like they were due for a loss, a bad loss. Like, I didn't think it was going to be. I think I wasn't able to make predictions last week, but I bet. Did you pick Lions last week?
I didn't do predictions for last week's episode.
You didn't do predictions?
No.
Okay, but I would have gone Ravens. I assume you would have gone Lions until there's little injuries, but
I probably would have.
The
David Montgomery injury is big.
About the Ravens. I was telling you, man. I mean, they are full of studs. Justin I can't pronounce his last name. Defense.
The pass rusher.
Defensive tackle. Yeah, he's been a stud. Yeah. I mean, they have such a collective team effort. Geno Stone leads the league in picks. They just have all these guys who they've drafted, just like slowly improving. It's just a testament to just how good the Ravens always are. And I think it really showed that there are, if I were to say right now, I'd say they're top 4 team, top 3 team in the NFL. And I think there's a tier of 3 teams and then everyone else, and they're easily in there. And you can rank them as 1, maybe.
Yeah, I think right now, at least the MVP conversation, I think Lamar has to be up there. And I know statistics wise, he hasn't been. The offense has not been fantastic, but this last week they kind of showed their true potential. And I think when you look at the Ravens, I am interested to see how active they are in the trade deadline. Because although they're leading that division's still wide open in my opinion. You have Pittsburgh's still 4-2, Cleveland's 4-2, and Bengals are 3-3, while the Ravens are 5-2. And I think those teams are each gonna take some wins and losses away from each other. I think I think 3 or 4 of those teams it may be the end of the year and they're still all in the division race. But I think Ravens, I would like to see them go grab a running back at the trade deadline, try to get Derrick Henry, try to get somebody that changes your run game. Because with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, I just don't think that's gonna be enough to have a lot of playoff success as well.
No, I agree. You need to get someone else. Even if you like Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, it's like, come on, if it's January and you're facing like the Bills, it's cold and you're just like, 3rd and 3, it's a read option. It's like, okay, defense just gonna make sure it doesn't go Lamar. I mean, you need to get someone else. Derrick Henry would obviously be cool, but you can go for there's many running backs, so I feel like you can go for. What about like Aaron Jones? That's just like I know his contract is a lot. But that'd just be fun. I think he fits.
I don't know because Aaron Jones, he has his hamstring injury, and it seems like every week it just seems like it's gonna be lingering on. And I don't know if I would want to. I don't know if Packers right now would want to trade Aaron Jones as well. You can't trust AJ Dillon, and I know that Packers aren't in a win now.
Yeah, they're.
I think they're clearly in a rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I think. In the running back market in today's NFL, I mean, what would you even get for Aaron Jones? I don't know. Yeah, so I think they'll hold on to him, and they'll probably cut him after this year to save cap space for next year. And who knows what the Packers do? They may draft a quarterback if they're high enough in the draft.
Maybe. I can see it.
I don't. Yeah. So, but yeah, the Ravens, I think if they want to separate themselves from the other teams in this division, I think they have to be buyers at the trade deadline, and I think they have to go get a running back.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's only real any type of weakness or anything. I think this game just showed though that they have maybe one of the better all around teams in the NFL, and they should be able to do more damage as time comes. And I still think they should be 7-0. Should be 7-0.
Yeah, I mean you say 7-0 for a lot. I mean there's always games that you're gonna let slip up, but yeah, I mean those are 2 very winnable games. And if they are 7-0, any 7-0 team would have a stranglehold on their division. But I think they would definitely be the main leaders in that division. Next game we'll talk about, and one that was shocking, but at the same time because of Bills' inconsistency, I'm not gonna say I saw it coming because I definitely thought Bills would just win this game, and I thought they would win pretty convincingly. But offensively, they're still so Josh Allen dependent, and when you're playing a division opponent, especially Bill Belichick, who knows your tendencies. You can't start out the game throwing an interception and starting out slow and giving the other team 10 points like the Bills did. So, what were your kind of takeaways from this game, and where do you think the Bills go from here?
I don't think I'm as out on the Bills as everyone else. I mean, it's kind of they really need to get their work together. I know that they've had some weird games. All their losses just seem weird, but I mean, I don't know. The Bills are just a weird team, and it just seems like I see them still having a pretty good record at the end of the year, but it hones into that fact, like, can you trust them? Because some days it looks like Josh Allen is great, and then the defense lets him down. And then some days it's the defense is playing great, but then Josh Allen just, like against the Giants, like they couldn't score until the fourth quarter. So I think it just sort of reinsures that I don't trust them, but I still think they're going to win big games throughout the year.
I don't know. I feel like are you good, Luke? I do not know where Luke went. I think he's having technical difficulties, so I'll wait for him before I continue.
Sorry, I am back.
You're good. You're good. I was just gonna say, looking at the Bills' schedule, I know you said there's a lot of games that they could win. They do have a tough. They play at Cincinnati. They still have at Philly, at Chiefs. You have Dallas, and you still have Miami at the end of the year as well. So I don't know. Those could potentially be 4 to 5 more losses on the Bills' record where they already are 4-3. So I don't know how good. I don't know if the Bills are for sure a playoff lock at this point in the year.
I don't know. They still have so much talent, and they'll get back. They'll figure stuff out. So, I mean, Diggs and Allen are still like the top. I don't know. Are they the top duo? Like, just even though they yell at each other a lot, you always see good chemistry and big plays. But
I think I'd rather have I want to say maybe Tua and Tyreek are a better duo, but I think Josh Allen's a much better quarterback than Tua. But Tyreek Hill already has over 900 yards this
that's
year.
true.
So
yeah, that's probably a great statement.
And
I still trust them though, because they're just still. They're more talented than most teams.
It's the same thing as every year, though.
I know, but I would trust them to win games to make
talented, but there's still injuries. They've had too many injuries, and their stars are on Von Miller, older side. He's on the other side of 30. Stephon Diggs, he's going to be 30, 31 here soon. I still know the Bills Super Bowl window. I think it's this year and possibly next year, because if you look at their cap space, I believe they're like $44 million over the cap. So they're going to have to make some decisions, and I don't know if they either miss the playoffs for whatever reason or they lose after the first round. I could see them trading Stephon Diggs or making a monumental move that kind of shakes up the organization.
No, yeah, that I could definitely just see, just talking about this year. I trust them to make the playoffs, but in the future, I think it's definitely a little scary with what all could happen. I think that if they were to miss playoffs like you think they could, I mean, at that point, it's trade Diggs, fire McDermott. I don't even know.
I think you have to fire. I think you have to just start over on the coaching staff. You keep Josh Allen, but you got to start building through the draft. They went all in last year, signing Von Miller to that expensive contract, and sign all these marquee players. But I think at this point, they went the Rams route of trying to win a Super Bowl, and it didn't work out. And now they're gonna have to nail draft picks if they want to have a sustained long success.
No, yeah, I feel they have good draft picks. They confuse the hell out of me because they have good draft picks but bad draft picks, but they haven't hit on a player lately. I feel like with the pick, that's a problem. They they have like all these fine players, but they need another star. I feel like maybe one on defense because they have players who you think are stars, but are they really like Von Miller's not a star anymore. Micah Hyde's not a star anymore. I mean,
No, like I
Tre'Davious
said,
White,
they're
even
all
before he got hurt,
older
wasn't a star
players.
anymore. Yeah,
they're all older players, and personally, I think they need to get a receiver because Gabe Davis is just
no, yeah.
he's too
Gabe Davis
inconsistent.
is fine, but he's not.
You got Dalton Kincaid, who I think will step up now that Dawson Knox is out for the next 4 weeks. But I don't know. It's the same old Bills. Last year, dominate September, October they start to derail and start to regress. And what's more concerning this year is that when we see Josh Allen, he's either really good or really bad, and it fluctuates between weeks. Now we've seen him for 3 straight weeks be not good. Like he has not been good, and now it's fluctuating in between drives where some drives he looks really good, and some drives he looks really bad. And I think part of that is the fact that every play has to be a spectacular play. I still like their run game. They want to say they run the ball.
James Cook has been so good. He's been so good, but they don't use him enough.
I think they just run the ball to run the ball. I don't think there's like a creative scheme. To their run.
It's just
plan.
We've passed it 4 times.
Exactly. So. I don't know. The Bills I've kind of lost faith in, and I don't know. Especially in that division now.
Bill Belichick's 300th win. Patriots? No, I'm joking.
Do not if in our segment later, if they're in it for you, or if they're okay. Well, you did bet them against Dallas a couple weeks ago. So
let's move on.
Okay. Next game, probably most expected game of the week with, highly anticipated game. The Eagles pretty much manhandled the Dolphins. Offensive line, defensive line dominated the game, and that was kind of expected just how the Dolphins are built. Are the Dolphins, are they actual contenders, or is this a team where they can, flake out at the end of the year because of, they're not that great on defense and Tua's limitations and, offensive line's not great? Are they more of a finesse team that we will see struggle in the playoffs?
If I had a bet that do they win one playoff game, yes or no, I'd say yes. But I feel like that over-under is at 1.5.
Yeah.
And then it's like second game if you're facing the Chiefs or the Ravens. I'm not quite trusting them yet. I like Tua, but he's one of those I still probably need to see a little more.
I don't know if you pay him.
You can't not pay him though. I mean, you're not going to find any quarterbacks who are better in that system.
I think he's one concussion away from his career being done. Do I really want to attach $50+ million a year to that? And two, they're 5-0 against teams who are 5-25, and against teams who are above 500. They've been dominated. They lost by 28 and 14.
I know, but
they're going to be facing those type of teams in the playoffs.
Their O-line's still not great. I mean, teams with good depth at defensive line have helped. I mean, even the Patriots contested with them. But you still have these two weapons, and at their best, they're really clicking. And he's still growing. I mean, Mike McDaniel's still growing. I'm going to ride it out. I'm not going to give up. You're supposed to get
I'm not saying but I'm saying by the end of this year, if it's the same story as last year where cold weather, his arm, because he does not have the strongest arm, he's not the most athletic.
I'm not getting rid of him, though, if I don't have a plan.
No, of course not. I'm saying you do not, by all means, you do not give him an extension after this year. Because they did pick up his 5th-year option, and I believe his 5th-year option is next year. You play that out, and we'll see again. But I am not paying him a contract. I'm not getting a contract this year.
That was said about like Jalen Hurts, and then who beat him, obviously. And then we've seen
Jalen Hurts kind of regress this year.
I think Jalen Hurts looked really good against it. I don't know if regress is the right word.
He has not been as good. He raised 10 turnovers this year.
Okay, yes, but I think something's a little off with their offense. If you look at the stats, they may be fine, but I'm so surprised how A.J. Brown dependent it is.
Yeah, Devontae Smith has been a non-factor in this offense.
I mean, A.J. Brown, first off, is an absolute stud. Like, I think he's finally getting his recognition for what he is.
Yeah, I think he's always been one of the most underrated receivers. Because when you talk about the top 7-8 receivers, his name doesn't really come, especially top 5 doesn't really come up.
Yeah, I think he's finally getting up in that tier, or at least in the discussion of that tier. It's like Swift has good numbers, but I still don't know how good Swift is. But I still think Jalen Hurts has shown me he's worth the money. I don't think you need overall, like, oh, I play 15 great games. You just need a quarterback who can get you to the playoffs, and then once they're there, they have the capability of, with playing well, lifting up that trophy. And I think Hurts is one of those. I still think Tua could be one of those. I think they're still growing as a team. I think that maybe, I know you have all this speed, but maybe you need to add some, as you're saying there, like finesse. You need to add some power to it somehow, and maybe that's just get meaner up front, or get meaner in the run game. Or
I mean, I don't think it's really tough in the NFL to add help along the offensive line during the season, because if you have a good offensive lineman, you're not getting rid of them.
Yeah.
And that's something that's confused me about the Dolphins drafting wise. And free agency, like they signed Teron Armstead, but other than that, their offensive line has been pretty bad. And I think, especially with Tua's health, you would think that they would invest more in the offensive line. What I was going to talk about earlier when we were talking about Tua and cold weather and down the stretch, I do think they did get a scheduling break. So they face like later in the year, they have, I would say, 2, maybe 3 games that are in the cold. So you'll be at the Jets. That'll be November 24th. That'll probably be a cold game.
Mm-hmm.
You have at Washington the week after. That'll probably be another cold game. And then you have at Baltimore on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
But you play Buffalo at home. You play Dallas. Mm-hmm. You play Tennessee at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think scheduling-wise, I think they got a break by having a lot of these games. They got Buffalo and New England out of the way on the road, and usually there's a cold weather climate. So the fact that they are now at home at the latter half of the year, I do think they've caught a break in that regard.
I do think it's good, though, that he's gained some cold weather beforehand, because he needs to.
Yeah, because we kind of saw trouble last year. Because I still don't think he has the strongest arm. I think he has a capable arm, but that's just something I'd like to see. But yeah, on the Eagles side of things, they're 6-1. Mm-hmm. What was, because Jalen Hurts I thought was all right that game. He did make some really good throws, but I mean,
it's not like he definitely got hurt in some aspect.
Well, yeah, I think his knee's banged up. You kind of saw him, and to be honest, Nick Sirianni, I'm not the biggest fan. Just like the way he acts on the sidelines, and your quarterback's hurt, and I know the tush push is very successful, but if your quarterback's hurt, the last thing I want to be doing is consistently doing that play where players are rolling up on him.
Mm-hmm. It works, though. I don't know if it's tush push knee injury. I mean, before Mahomes, we never saw a quarterback QB sneak in.
And I'm not blaming tush push for Jalen Hurts' knee injury, but I'm saying when you have that many bodies on top of a pile, I mean, you don't know what.
He's usually on top of the pile.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
I don't put anything in that. I think that he's showing that he doesn't need to run to be a good quarterback. His running obviously takes him to another tier, but I mean,
he's not even running that much this year. Like, he's sliding way earlier than, like, last year he would take contact and fight through contact. This year he's sliding super early.
You get paid, and I mean, or also it's just smarter. You want a longer career. I mean, you see Lamar not taking as many hits. He's doing the right thing. And then once it's playoff time, if you need to take a hit, maybe take a hit. But
I think Lamar's always been better at not taking hits.
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Hurts last year was taking hits. Lamar, he's elusive enough to avoid those hits.
And that's something Josh Allen still hasn't learned, which he has to. But yeah, I have full faith in Jalen Hurts. I know that it's like Lamar, where I compared it to the MVP season, where it may not be as good as last year, but I still like what I'm seeing from Jalen Hurts, just that I could trust him dropping back. And I think that's a big thing, because I know that running is there with both of them.
Last game of the week, and probably the most shocking game of the week, prime time Kirk Cousins was not prime time Kirk Cousins. He came into Monday night and beat the 49ers. And it was, I mean, they led this game from start to finish. And he did throw that interception on the first drive. And when I was watching that game, after he threw that pick, it's like, this game's going to be a blowout. Because 49ers, quick, I think in like 2 plays were already in the 20-yard line. And then McCaffrey fumbles. But
they had a lot of weird stuff go on for them that game. And the Addison touchdown was just ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think this game's more about the 49ers than the Vikings. Like, I think the Vikings, what they did was very impressive. But I think there are a lot of questions that came out of this game on the 49ers side of the ball.
I don't think I feel the exact same way. I think that Minnesota obviously came in with a really good game plan. They still only scored 22, which 7 of it was through wild play. My biggest takeaway was honestly Kirk Cousins from the game. He was phenomenal. I still think he's like sort of – how old is he now? I mean, he's in the
I want to say he's 35.
draft.
I think he's 35.
So that's 11 years. So was he 23 or 24?
I think he's like 34, 35. And I think he's 35.
Man, he was old then when he got drafted if he's 35. But 2012, right? That's RG3 and Luck, or is that 2011? Yeah. But he's coming into his own. I mean, I still feel fine about the night. Purdy, the thing with the Niners is Purdy, it seems like when he's not when he's
not in the lead in a comfortable situation.
When he's not throwing with like the anticipation where it's like he'll know that guy will be there. That's where he's really good at. Like, I think he's really good at, if you watch Troy Aikman was breaking it down. Or like if he knows someone's going to be running a post and that he has to be here, I mean, he hits it perfectly a lot of the time. But when it really breaks down, he still seems to be a little too doing some stuff he probably shouldn't. And that is a little concerned, but I still think that they are one of the better teams. He's in concussion protocol now.
I didn't see that. I did.
So I wonder,
they showed the play where he
QB
sneak. He got. What did you say? Sorry.
He's definitely not playing.
I don't think he will either, especially because the concussion symptoms they showed up on the plane right back.
Yeah, that's not great.
So as you know, I've always thought Brock Purdy has been way overrated, and I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback, but I think he's fine. I think he's solid. But this MVP talk and him having this it factor and all that, I think he's a solid quarterback. And I think I'm gonna compare him to Jimmy G real quick, and I think he's way better than Jimmy G. But I think we had the same type of arguments about Jimmy G. Oh, he wins games. He doesn't lose. When he plays, they win. Well, when he leads the NFL interceptions, and he hasn't even played all the games in the NFL. I think the system makes the quarterbacks, and at some point, I don't think they could win a Super Bowl with just having a loaded roster, especially the way they play. We're already seeing injuries pile up for them. Mm-hmm. Debo's out. Trent Williams is out. We saw a couple linebackers go down the game, even though they were able to return.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Here are his stats when trailing in the fourth quarter, the last 2 games. He has a 39.1 completion percentage. His yards per pass are 4.8 yards. He has 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And his passer rate is 18.4. And that's trailing 20 minutes in the fourth quarter. So when he's up, he's really good. But it's not going to be like that all the time. You're in the NFL. It's not going to be, you're up comfortably every week. You're going to be playing tough opponents. And Brock Purdy, I think he's a solid quarterback. But people saying he's top 10, top 12. I think he's a product of the system. And that's something, I'm not trying to take anything away from what he's accomplished. But it's been ridiculous that, he's better than, we've had conversations before about a handful of quarterbacks he's better than. But I don't know. And then people want to say, Debo was out, Trent was out. Yeah, and you know what? The roster he had on Monday night was still way better than most of the rosters in the NFL.
Okay. While you continue hating on Brock Purdy, as you've literally hated on Purdy, Tua, Hurts, Josh Allen, Goff, and some Lamar, you've hated on every quarterback.
I gave Lamar credit.
You hate on every quarterback.
That's not Hurts. I said it just has regressed this year. I don't think he's a bad quarterback.
I don't ever think that's true. I think his stats are just down.
Luke, he has not been the same quarterback he was.
Because he's not running for 70 yards a game.
It's not even that.
You're hating on every quarterback. But here's the thing.
Would you want Hurts to take steps in the right direction in the pocket, like throwing wide?
I think watch his throws A.J. Brown.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he's done.
I said he made some good throws on Sunday night.
You're hating on all these quarterbacks, but to the Niners, okay, the Browns, they had a terrible penalty call, and then they still had a field goal to beat the Browns. It just got missed. Obviously, third round. I know you've been Jake Moody, not should have been drafted third round. You're definitely right. Then Vikings.
Can I say something real quick? And they had 3 third-round picks.
They don't draft.
No, you had 3 third-round picks, and you draft a kicker, and that was their whole draft. They had 3 picks.
No, yeah, it was not well done, but they do so many other things
Go
well.
on. Go on. Sorry.
But and then against the Vikings, you lose by 5. McCaffrey fumbles in the red zone. Did they miss a kick?
Yeah, they missed
They
one
missed a
on
kick.
the yeah, he missed a 40-yarder. But then he hit a
Ridiculous
55-yarder.
Addison touchdown. Kirk Cousins, I'm sorry, but sometimes when a quarterback is playing that well, they only had 22. Kirk Cousins was so good on third down. It's one of those where Cousins is just balling out, and you're still right there, and it just didn't work out. Yes, Purdy
He had
needs.
2 opportunities to win the game.
Yes, I know, but yes, Purdy has some stuff to improve. He's also only played like barely double-digit games.
Okay, that's also my point. He's barely played that much, and people are already labeling him
No,
as
yeah,
a top
you
12
could
quarterback. That's
argue
my
that
point.
that was premature, but
That's my
still, it's
point.
just
I'm not saying he can't turn it, but I'm just saying right now, I think the praise is
But I
way
don't.
too
I don't
much.
think there's so much to worry about. I think you lost by 5 to a quarterback who played really well. You had a lot of stuff not go your way. I think that's just how the game went.
Well, they do play Cincy, who are coming off a bye. I don't think that's
Okay,
just a free win.
no, it's not. But I think if you just look at the team itself, I think they'll be fine.
And I
think
thought
they'll
another
be
thing that was
fine.
concerning was they got 0 sacks on Kirk Cousins,
No,
which
I
was
think
something
the Vikings also probably came in with an amazing game plan.
no, there was a lot of plays where they were throwing to Nick Bosa's side on screen passes, or when Nick Bosa came out, they were really aggressive and they would take shot plays. And that I think he was out. Was he out on that Addison play? He may have been out on the Addison play. I'm not sure on the top of my head, but I mean, it was just I thought Vikings played really well, but I just think right now 49ers, I mean, you lose 2 straight and you have to face the Bengals.
I think
And
it's just they're in a weird situation. Even if they lose to Bengals, which I think is fully possible, I'm not going to be worrying about them too much.
it'll be interesting though, because if they lose and Seattle win, they will both have the same record. So it's just interesting halfway through the year. So we will now move on to our playoff picks and seeding. We'll be redoing them. So week 1, or before the year started, we made our predictions for playoff seeding, playoffs, and Super Bowl. Today we'll be doing the playoff seeding. Luke, how about you go first and tell us your initial predictions before the year, and then go through your predictions right now.
So I'll start with the AFC. I had Chiefs at number 1. This is before the year. Chiefs 1, Jags 2, Bills 3, Ravens 4, Chargers 5, Bengals 6, Jets 7.
Okay.
And it's not too different. Honestly, I have 6 of the 7 teams remaining. I have Chiefs stay at the 1 seed. I think that's pretty. They're really good.
I think they've just earned it.
They're the Chiefs.
Yep.
I still think that there's Chiefs offense. I know they destroyed the Chargers, but the Chargers have terrible pass defense, so there's still more to be desired.
Did you see the 3rd and 15 play where Mahomes ran for 15 yards?
I called it. I called that. He's going to run for a first down here.
They rushed 4, and they had everybody back at the 15-yard point that the Chiefs needed. That's how they lined up.
No, I called it.
They did not
press. I saw the defense. I was just like, he's going to run.
They didn't press Kelsey at like that much that game. The fact that Kelsey had over 100 yards in the first half, Kelsey's a go-to option.
No, yeah.
So Chargers, if you need a get-right game, play the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers are a mess. But now I had Jags 2 last year, as I said. Now I have moved that to the Ravens. The Jags are going to have an easier schedule than the Ravens, and they have the same record, but I still think in the end, talent over schedule. So I think Ravens, I think Lamar's going to possibly win MVP.
And Ravens, to add to your point, they have a very manageable schedule.
No, yeah, it's not that bad.
I think
they're going to beat Steelers next time they face them. Like, they're just going to do that. That's going to lock because they should have beat
It's in Baltimore, so the last game I do expect
they're going to beat them. Yeah, they've already played all their division opponents once. And so I have them at 2, and I'm really liking what I see. Jags at 3 because the division, I still don't – I don't know if they're a top 4 team in the AFC, but 3 seed, the division's just not great. I know the Colts have still shown some power, and the Texans aren't to be.
I think Houston's sneaky to steal some wins.
But I think Houston's probably playing at some of their best football right now. I could see them falling off.
Well, yeah, they definitely regress, yeah.
So that's why they're at 3. And then the 4 seed, it's obviously Bills or Miami. And it's they're both better than Jags, but I think that whole division, even with the Patriots struggles, they still Bill Belichick, so they can always mess with people. And then Jets are still really good. But I do have Miami edging out Buffalo because I think on most games Miami's going to come out and they're going to have some fantastic.
I think they're way more creative offensively.
Agreed.
And they'll be getting Jalen Ramsey back, Xavier Howard back. So,
and then that puts me at Bills 5. So I think those were the easy 5 playoff teams for me, and I was really struggling here with 6 and 7. I was looking at Steelers, Browns, Chargers, Cincy, Jets. I don't think there's anyone else I was looking at if I look at the standings.
I mean, the only other team I would even say, and you will definitely is the Chargers. But that's
I was looking at the Chargers too. But I think, as I said, they're a mess. But I actually kept my 6 and 7 seed from earlier. Cincy's still at 6. I trust Burrow's healthy. That Arizona game, it wasn't perfect, but Burrow looked much better. Now they've had some rest. And I still have the Jets at 7, man. I think the Jets.
Wait, so do you have Bills? Where do you have? Oh, you have Bills at 5?
Yeah, I have them. It'd be a Miami home playoff game, round 1, which I think would be really fun. That's honestly good for the Dolphins because home game and Bills and so. But yeah, that's my 7. I think the Jets. Their defense looks good enough, and I'm seeing enough from Zach Wilson. I mean, their defense is full studs, and they have their schedule at least these next 3 weeks: Giants, Chargers, Vegas. This Giants game is interesting, but I mean, I like the Jets. They're a good team, and then if you can go and beat the Chargers, who are very beatable in Vegas, you then face Buffalo and Miami, and it's like take one of those, and then you have 2 more Falcons. I like what I'm seeing from the Jets defense. I think they're going to improve. I think they should trade for Hunter Renfrow. I'm big on that. I think he's perfect. And no, that's my AFC. Do you want to do your AFC?
I'll do my AFC, and then I'll do my AFC. So my initial predictions for AFC were 1 Chiefs, Bengals at the 2 seed, Jacksonville at the 3 seed, Buffalo at the 4 seed. So those were my division winners. And my wild card was Chargers, Steelers, Jets in that order. So now, I had the Chiefs at the top of the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
I have Ravens at 2. I think very manageable schedule. They're playing really well. Dolphins I have at 3. Now, I know there's a lot of questions even from me of is this sustainable? Will they keep playing like this? But I trust that offense, and I think getting Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard back together will be huge for the back half of the schedule. And I have Jaguars at 4. So those are my division winners. Wild cards where it gets pretty interesting. And my 5 seed is actually the Steelers. I like their schedule. I think it's a very manageable schedule. I actually do think that they can win this week against Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, they were not a popular pick to win last week against the Rams. I think a lot of people were on the Rams side of that game if you're betting or if you're making picks in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very impressed with the Steelers. I think
they also got kind of lucky. That was a bad.
Well, yeah, it was a bad spot. But they're getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens, really good. I think Deontay Johnson coming back.
Yeah,
the offense really unlocked some of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen Warren. I think you're going to see emergence from Jalen Warren in the back half of the year. And Jalen Warren, when he runs, he really reminds me of Austin Eckler. And I'm not saying he's going to be an Austin Eckler, production.
Similar prototypes.
Yeah, definitely reminds me of Austin Eckler. And because of their tough schedule, the schedule is the big difference of why I have Steelers in front of Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's a better team overall, but I think schedule-wise, they play San Francisco this week. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. They play San Francisco, then Buffalo, which I think they beat Buffalo. You have Houston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. And Baltimore and Jacksonville are both on the road. And then you close out the year at Pittsburgh, at Kansas City versus Cleveland. That's a tough schedule. And that's why I think Pittsburgh finishes above them. And then my 7th seed, I have the Bills. I think Bills barely get in. So my playoff matchups would be, for the first round at least, would be Ravens hosting the Bills, Dolphins hosting Cincy, and Jacksonville hosting the Steelers.
God, no one that Jacksonville Steelers game would just be like, I think clearly.
I think it'd be an ugly game. I think it'd be an ugly game.
I mean, I can't blame you on the Steelers, but I think they've gotten lucky. And I think
I
it's
read
going to
somewhere
wear
today,
down.
Kenny Pickett in the fourth quarter, he has 103 QBR in the fourth quarter of games. So he's
that's
definitely
something.
he's definitely showing he's has some clutch.
I just think they've gotten lucky.
No, I think so too, but
They
their
shouldn't beat the
schedule.
Browns. 2 defensive touchdowns. Ravens, like 7-8 drops, just all these drops. What was it? Raiders was weird and ugly, and
Raiders is a Sunday night game, right?
Raiders made a dumb decision, and then who'd they just beat? Blanking. Rams. Rams should have got the ball back. I mean, I can't blame you, but I don't trust them.
So what are your NFC? So go through your initial NFC predictions and go through your new remodeled one.
Okay, so NFC, I had Eagles at the 1, Lions at the 2, Niners at the 3, Falcons at the 4, then Giants at the 5, Seahawks 6, and then Cowboys 7. So,
oh boy,
there were some mistakes made there. But okay, I'm gonna surprise you. This I don't think they're the best team, and they just got whooped. But I think their schedule is the easiest. So I'm playing Lions at the 1 seed. I think that they're good enough. They're gonna bounce back from this. Eagles are the best team. I have Eagles at 2, but Eagles' schedule is kind of rough, and Jalen hurts his knee. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 weeks and people are like, "Oh, look at the Eagles not look so hot," but then they'll climb up. But I think Lions are going to be the 1 seed. It's a gut feel. I think they're going to bounce back. Niners 3. I still feel fine about the Niners. They have to deal with Seahawks, and I think they may have to edge them out there. That may be tough. And then Falcons 4. Falcons, I mean, for the bets.
They by far have the best roster. They have by far the best.
They didn't score They didn't score twice when they're inside the 10.
No, Arthur Smith. Here's the thing: if you are a Falcons fan, and I feel bad for you,
you
want your team to win. But if they keep winning, it's a greater chance for Arthur Smith staying there for another year. So it's so tough. Like as a non-Falcons fan and just like a person who plays fantasy football and all that, I want Arthur Smith gone.
No, he's terrible.
Because he does not utilize his players. They use premium picks on these players and they don't use them. But go ahead.
I will say something about Desmond Ridder, man. Last 3 games: 329, 307, 250.
I'm not trying to argue your point, but who are the 3 teams they faced? I'm just curious.
Houston, Washington, Tampa. I know Washington's not.
Washington's not a good defense.
What?
Were you saying Washington's a good defense?
I mean, they have front end talent.
No, Luke, their secondary is terrible.
No, the secondary is awful.
Their first round pick was benched. He's a healthy.
I know. But it's not bad. He threw 307. I mean, that's a game they should have won. But
I gotta say Tampa's good.
Okay.
But Washington.
Okay, back to my. My
made
wild card here, Logan. Okay. Let me get back to the wild card here. But at 5, I feel like the first 2 wild card spots are pretty easy. It's just, do you have who 5 or 6? I have Seahawks at 5, Cowboys at 6. I honestly think that Cowboys are the better team. But I think Seahawks schedule, and they just got, I don't even know if you call it a break or not with Deshaun not playing, but they should beat the Browns.
Right.
I don't even know what you call it. Is it easier or tougher? I think Deshaun's not going to play this year. I said this after the injury. Remember our trade deadline thing? Obviously won't happen, but I was like, what if they got Kirk for just 1 year? The
Deshaun Watson contract. We had an episode where we talked about Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson's contract, who is worse. And I think we both said Deshaun Watson because it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah, it's terrible.
He's just not good. And
shoulders you watch the throws, he's like
no, and that pick he threw last week, it was short by 8-10 yards. I don't think he throw all the way.
It's Deshaun Watson. Weirdest story ever from a guy who's top 5 quarterback, and I loved watching Deshaun Watson, the Texans, and now it's just.
Why don't you to draft him?
Hey, talent-wise, it would have been a good pick. As I digress, and then so that leaves me my 7th seed after Seahawks are 5 and Cowboys are 6, and I was deciding between Rams, Vikings, and Giants.
Okay.
If
I thought your Washington
defense
was absurd.
Listen to your boy here quickly on why I thought about the Giants. thought about the Giants because if they're to beat the Jets, then you got Vegas, then you got Dallas, but then you have Washington, New England, Green Bay, New Orleans. But Daniel Jones is still hurt, and in the end, they're not good enough. So I didn't have them. So I limited it to Vikings and Rams. And the Vikings have such an easy schedule coming up. But then they face Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions. So you stop it. But with that schedule, I was like, man, it's easy now, but then it's tough. And what if they slightly disappoint the easy schedule? Even though Kirk Cousins playing some of his best football. So I went with Rams. I like Stafford, Kupp, Puka. And their team also I was thinking about, I was like, I think I see the Rams trading for someone. I don't know who, but for someone. And I like McVay.
From a specific position or just
maybe running back. Maybe you add someone on defense who's good. Maybe I just see that they're going to trade for someone, in my opinion. They like to win. They have a lot of young rookies now. I think they have a solid amount of picks next year. Give something up. So I like the Rams at the 7th spot. And there's like a whole bunch of and then like a good old quarterback and 2 really good weapons and a star defensive tackle. But I think they can make it, and they're still kind of a pain. I don't like in my situation, they face the Eagles. I think I'd feel pretty comfortable if I'm the Eagles facing the Rams.
Especially in Philly,
yeah. My other matchups are Niners-Cowboys. I swear, Niners-Cowboys, historic stuff there. And that'd be a big one for many storylines. But then Falcons-Seahawks. And I've been on my Falcons, but I'm trusting Pete Carroll or Arthur Smith in a playoff game. I think we know who I'm going with there. Yeah, that's my 7. I
can't believe Giants were in your consideration. Oh my god.
We don't need to go into it fully, but you
don't bring them up because they don't even deserve to be in a playoff discussion.
Potential bounce back, man, but
they are more likely to be in the Drake May discussion than playoffs. But I will continue.
Tell me your NFC.
So NFC, my initials picking was Philly, 49ers, Detroit, Atlanta. And my wild card was Seattle, Cowboys, and Giants. Okay, my new one. Yeah, because I talked to you too much. So first seed, I'm going to say Eagles. I still think Eagles best roster. I still trust them the most. I think Kevin Byard. I think that trade was huge.
That was huge.
Gained some secondary help. 2 and 3. While you were talking. So I initially had 49ers at 2 seed and Lions at 3. While you were talking, because of the schedule, because while you're talking, I was looking at the 49ers schedule because I already know that the Lions have the easiest schedule remaining in the entire league. When you look at San Francisco's schedule, so they have Cincinnati this week. Then you have a bye week. Then you're at Jacksonville. Then versus Tampa Bay, I think you beat Tampa Bay. Then this 3-week stretch of at Seattle, at Philly versus Seattle.
No, yeah.
There's a world, because I think they lose this week. There's a world I think they could be, 5-3. I think they could be 7-4, 8 or 7-4, somewhere 8-5, somewhere in that realm. And they still have to face Baltimore later in the year as well.
No, yeah, I saw that.
I think I'm going to give Lions a 2 seed. I think schedule-wise, I like them a lot. I do want to see the Lions add a receiver at the trade deadline.
Marvin Jones, Marvin away from football.
It's so Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and like Laporta, I think is a great rookie tight end. But if he's by far your second best weapon, pass catching wise, I think you need to. I would like to see him get Hopkins, or if Devontae Adams becomes available, I would go all in on Devontae Adams.
If Josh Reynolds was like 15% better, because I like Josh Reynolds, but if he was like 15, he's a little faster, like half an inch taller, slightly better hands. Oh, he'd be perfect. He just he has limited ceiling, but I like Reynolds.
And then I have Atlanta still at the 4th spot. So the top 4 are relatively the same. I just have Detroit and 49ers flip-flopped. And then my wild card's still the same. I still have Seattle at the 5 and Dallas at the 6. Picking the 7 seed
was tough.
Was such a tough decision. I went with the Vikings.
I can't blame you for that.
and I think they're 3-4. Let me read you their schedule real quick. It is their next 5 weeks. So they have Green Bay. So it's at Green Bay, at Atlanta, Saints, at Denver, versus Chicago, bye at Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are all winnable, super winnable games.
Yeah.
Now, the tough part is their final 2 of the 3 weeks, they go up against Detroit. So they have Detroit, Green Bay, Detroit.
See, and
Cincinnati's before Detroit. So they have to win these games. These next 5-6 weeks, they have to win these games.
See, that was my thing. That's why I picked the Rams, because those games are too must win. Like, let's say, who are they? The Packers. This is my Vegas theory. Logan, just listen. I don't like the Packers, but Vegas has them favored by 1.
Jesus Christ! If you like the Packers, we end this episode.
Logan, but the Packers are favored by 1, and it's just like, it's one of those where like, well, that's dumb. But Vegas always gets these right, and you're just like, how do they get it right? But they just do. They get it right, and it's a little scary for the Vikings that the Packers are favored. And you could just see it. They could have lost to the Bears. They had like their best game against the Niners, and they probably should have lost.
I think Jordan Addison is about to blow up.
No, he's good, but he also, he's a stud. I fully agree. He's a stud. That hasn't stopped the Vikings before having 2 good receivers from not succeeding.
Yeah.
And then the Falcons, that's not as easy as you think. You got to face the Bears again. Bears nearly beat them when they had to switch quarterback mid-game. These are very winnable. They should be favored in every single one. Maybe not the Falcons one. That's truly, I think, like, I don't know.
I think it's a toss-up. If it was in Minnesota, I'd probably pick Minnesota pretty easily, but the fact that it's at Falcons.
I think Falcons should be slightly favored. Vikings are not favored against Packers, but I think they should. But obviously, I think Vegas is weird.
The thing with Jordan Love, and this isn't part of our discussion, but Jordan Love.
You cannot stop talking about him.
What? I didn't bring him up. This is my first time bringing him up.
Yeah, but you love to
He does not throw the ball down the field.
Not well, at least.
His completion percentage of passes 10 yards is 38%.
Oh, jeez.
Just think about that. 38% of 10 yards or more. He can't throw 10 yards.
They're also, like, just not a good coach team. LaFleur, I've always thought, is overrated.
And they're defensively.
Joe Barry is, but back to non-Packers discussion. They're all like, the Vikings can only lose one of those these like next 5 games.
Yeah, like they
I think they'll lose 2. I think they'll lose 2 of them.
If they go 3-3.
Oh no, yeah. I think they'll lose 2 of them.
Total flop if they lose 3 of those games.
No.
So now
it's a tough one.
Yeah, 7 seeded. I can see it going either way. I give the Vikings a slight edge because I think roster construction, they still have marquee. I think.
Yeah, you're right. Danielle Hunter's been insane.
Yeah, it depends if they decide to trade Danielle Hunter or not. Because I think
I feel like at this point, if you beat the Packers, you can't trade them.
Here's the thing with the Vikings: if you don't make the playoffs, and let's say you're 7-10, I feel like that's such a missed opportunity to go get a quarterback because they're not bringing Kirk Cousins back.
They would bring Kirk Cousins back. It was reported that they may bring him back, Logan.
I know, but I feel like if they were gonna sign him, they would already give him an extension. I think it's kind of.
I don't know. I think they're waiting things out. I think he could return. Okay. I think he could return.
We'll see. I think it's a tough situation.
Pick on something else, and you can still be a good team. You still have a top near 10 quarterback with some nice weapons. Danielle Hunter is a whole nother. That may get decided by this game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of games on Sunday, we will now make our Week 8 predictions. So
that was a good transition.
Tomorrow night.
That was nice.
What'd you say?
That was a nice transition you did there.
Oh, thank you. Tomorrow's game, I'm hoping we get a good primetime game. Eagles.
I never get to watch these, so I'm fine. I'm busy.
Buccaneers at Bills, and Buccaneers at Bills. Bills minus 8.5. It was reported that Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin are both questionable for this game, so I am curious if this line moves.
I think they're both going to play, but they're going to stay as questionable.
Mm-hmm.
that I saw.
But how do you see this game playing out? Who do you
I
see
think
winning?
Bills bounce back. They bounce back. I mean, again,
When
I
you
don't
say bounce back, does that mean they
I
just
think
win, or do you
they
think?
I think they whoop them. I'm like 70% they whoop them, 25% they barely beat them, and then 5% they screw it up. But I think Josh Allen throws for like 350 and get like a. I wouldn't mind a James Cook night, but yeah, I have Bills.
As much as I think that's a possibility, I don't think. I think Bills win. I think Buccaneers cover the spread if everybody's healthy. I think it's going to be like I'll say it's like a 7-point game. And a couple weeks ago when we talked about the Buccaneers, I said we would see some regression, and I think it's exactly what they've lost their last 2 games. If they lose this game, they're 3-4. If they lose this game, let me ask you this: if they lose this game, which I think is highly possible, I think it's obvious that they probably lose this game. Do they trade Mike Evans? Like if they're 3-4, because their division I know is super winnable, but they're
Jesus.
3-4. You face the Bills, then you
Falcons beat
have
Titans. The
what's that?
Falcons are 5-3.
You're 3-4, and so then you face after this you have Houston, Tennessee, which are both I think winnable games. Then you have at San Francisco. So that's kind of their
I
next.
don't think they will. I think if they lose, even Falcons, I think they're keeping him. The trade deadline is never as nuts as we think it'll be.
No, I know, but like you think that it's so tough
They'll
because
keep them and they'll try to win. Teams try to win, I think, more often than not. Because these guys are trying to keep their jobs, man.
no, I know, but I think it's a very interesting question if depending on how this game plays out.
Mhm.
Next game that we'll talk about, these are 12 o'clock slate games. Rams at Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 6.5.
I always like to pick against Cowboys, but I'm not going to pick against Cowboys. I'm not picking against the Cowboys.
Thank God.
I think it'll be close. I think that the Rams, they just need is like a stud right tackle. But they just need like one stud offensive lineman to add and be like, dang. But I think Cowboys, I mean, the defense is still nuts. They're still a great team. Not a great team. They're still a really good team.
Yeah,
They're
they're
still a
solid.
really
I
good
think they're
team.
solid. I don't like
Better.
what you said about the Packers not being well coached. I think Dallas is not coached well at all.
I think their defense is well coached.
Well, yeah, but Mike McCarthy
I think
situation.
the Packers are not coached on either side. I think Dak.
Cowboys play calling is so mundane. It's so boring.
Yeah, but I still think Dak gets
No
a look in the
creativity.
tape. I think they'll win this game. I think the line's probably pretty good. I don't know which. I wouldn't bet on the line, 6.5. I wouldn't bet on it. But I got Cowboys. Probably Micah Parsons gets a couple sacks.
Yeah, I think Cowboys either keep this game super close or they blow this game out of the water. Coming off a bye, and Dallas on that turf, their defense is so fast. And Rams' offensive line is not great. We've seen Matthew Stafford get sacked quite a few times this year already. Mm-hmm. I do think Dallas wins this game on the defensive side of the ball. I am interested to see how Dallas offensively plays. I mean, it's very dependent on CeeDee Lamb. There was some stat I saw today. Dak Prescott's thrown to CeeDee Lamb like 81% of the time. Like it's CeeDee Lamb or it's something crazy. Or it's on, I think like on third downs or something. Okay, it's on certain situations where they're throwing 81% of the time.
I'm all for teams just like force feeding really good receivers.
I know, but you can only do that for so long.
Yeah, Michael Gallup has not been good as I thought, and Brandon Cooks.
They're not using Brandon Cooks. He was actually really good against the Chargers.
No, he was good against the Chargers, but he needs to be used more. I think he needs to be more involved. And then Pollard hasn't been that great. And the run game.
Yeah, the running back situation is very weird.
They're just like they're one of those teams. They're gonna score like 24-27 because they get so many possessions, and they'll allow like 17 to 20.
Yeah.
I think too many games for them.
Yeah, I think Cowboys win this game. I think it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna have to be on the defense side of the ball that they win this game. I still don't trust Dak Prescott on that offense. Next game, Vikings at Packers. As we mentioned earlier, Packers are favored by 1 point.
Okay, I've had to make this new personal rule with me. I won't change my pick because of Vegas, but I just won't bet on it. But Vikings should win, and I'm picking Vikings. I'm just not betting on it because it's weird. So that's my personal rule. I'm not going to let Vegas sway my pick. But, I mean, Kirk Cousins, as I've talked about today, has looked fantastic. And that's really the thing. I think he's playing some great football. I can always root for Kirk Cousins. The Packers have just been a mess. I mean, you lose to Denver, it's just been like, what the heck? It's just like, why? I do think this will be close. Division game, just weird stuff. Maybe Matt LaFleur pulls some stuff out and tries to be a good coach. Maybe. But I got Vikings.
I think this is such a prime spot to have a hangover game, but I just don't trust the Packers at all.
See, exactly.
I don't. If this was any other, like this was the Saints, I would actually take the Saints over Vikings if it was Vikings at Saints. I think it's such a hangover. I think it's such a hangover spot. You're coming off a short week. You beat the arguably one of the top 3 teams in the league, top 5 at least. It's such a prime spot for hangover.
But Logan, Big Kirko stays dripping.
No. Oh, okay.
Hey, I didn't say it. He did.
Guys, that's my thought process. Vikings, I think they still win this game. I mean, the Packers couldn't even beat the Broncos last week, and Jordan Love is just so uninspiring to watch.
Man, he's looking so good. I was just fooled. Like I didn't think
Chicago.
Okay, no, but it was also the comeback against the Saints. Is a comeback against the Saints.
Well,
clearly, I messed up.
Lost to the Saints are bad.
I know. I'm telling you, I screwed up.
Their 2 wins are against Derek Carr, and as much as
Justin Fields. Yep, he sucks. Okay. Yes, I screwed up. I screwed up on Jordan Love. I knew the Saints weren't that good, but the comeback was still impressive. But I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Next game, I'm not watching this game.
You don't want to see Ritter versus Levis?
I picked up Falcons defense in this game for good reason. I'm hoping no points are scored, and I don't think points will be scored. Falcons at Titans. Falcons -3, and I don't really mention over-unders. The over-under is 35.5. That's all you need to know about this game. It's going to be terrible.
Falcons
don't watch it.
Falcons are going to do well. It's going to be a good Falcons win. The division parlay is going to look nice.
You mean parlays? It's
parlays. Yes. I'll have to tell you about the math after, but they're going to look
okay.
They're going to look nice. And so I also saw Falcons. I mean, it'll be fun. We get a rookie playing who was drafted in the second round, and
he's gonna be terrible.
Banana peels and puts mayo in his coffee.
They're going to pull the K-State quarterback regimen, and they're going to play both quarterbacks this game.
K-State's playing really well with that regimen, even though they need to change that before Texas. But yes.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a turnover fest. The Falcons secondary is very good.
I think Falcons are just going to run the ball and take it slow.
Well, yeah, that's their game plan every week. That is their game plan.
Hey, they've been passing more. I read you those stats earlier.
Yeah, and you also said Washington was a good defense. Falcons, I think defensively very good, or not very good, but secondary wise very good.
Jesse Bates is a stud.
He is a stud. I would like to see them try to get a pass rusher at the trade deadline.
Yeah, agreed.
Go get Chase Young. Go get Montez Sweat. Go get somebody. Just add some juice.
Campbell is nice, but he's old and
and I think Tennessee. I think they've already turned the page on this year. I think they've already realized that they are going to try trade play. I mean, you could trade Kevin Byard for nothing.
I bet they're like hoping for Will Levis to play well, but for them to lose. That's probably the hope. Like upstairs, obviously not Vrabel. Yeah. That dude wants to just win, and he wins.
Yeah, but I think Falcons win this. I think they cover. I think they probably win by 6 or 7, maybe 10.
Agreed.
Yeah. Next game. Oh God. Saints at Colts. Saints -1. I think it's great value to take the Colts. I think Colts at home are a good spot to take them, but Saints at Colts and Saints -1.
Back to my rule of not letting Vegas sway my pick. The Saints suck. I think I've said it like 6 times in this year on the show. They suck. Gardner Minshew's look solid. I think they got lucky against the Browns a lot of times, and then they got unlucky at the end. They should have won. But I mean, Downs, touchdown. Pittman, just breakaway touchdown. But I trust Gardner more than I trust Derek Carr, and that's terrible. Jonathan Taylor, I think, has a breakout. That's what I think. I think Taylor has. He kind
of broke out.
Yeah, but I think this is vintage Taylor game. I think this is like, oh yeah, I was like considered the best running back last year or 2 years ago. I think this is vintage Jonathan Taylor, balls out, And yeah, so I got Colts.
Yeah, I have Colts as well. I think they're a much different team at home, much better at home.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of saw when they played Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. They just got absolutely dominated. But I think at home they're a much better team.
Mm-hmm.
If you are betting over unders, if you ever bet over unders, the Colts, I believe the over has hit in 6 or 7 games. If I'm not, it's either 5 or 7 or 6 or 7 games. The
Really?
over has hit in their games.
It makes
Very
sense.
fast.
Last week, I mean, that was like
very fast paced. And Derek Carr, it's not like he checks down a lot. He's not even going through his progressions. It's if his first read's not open, it's going to Kamara. And
and there's definitely some stuff with the Olave. I mean, that's just not right. I don't.
Yeah, I think there's a chance if they lose this week and if the offense is just absolutely underwhelming, I think they may turn to Jameis Winston. They need some juice on it. They need some juice.
A lot of money, Logan.
They need some juice on this offense. This offense is so.
I think Dennis Allen goes down with the ship and Derek Carr.
That's not a good coach.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That division has to be the worst coach division because then you also have like Frank Reich. I mean, he was good, but I don't know how true.
I'm not a fan of Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles is fine, but yeah, it's not a great coach division.
But I think Colts win this. I think offensively they'll dominate. I think they will put up points. They've shown they can put up points. Gardner Minshew's more than capable of scoring 24, 26.
We didn't mention them in the playoff thing, but like they are like the outsider. They're like the outsider with the shot, though. I mean, the Browns game. They need games like the Browns game.
Here's the problem, though. The outsiders looking in right now. You have the Bengals. I know Chargers are not well coached, but I still think Chargers have talent. I still think their next 2 games they face.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying they're an outside shot.
No. I realize that, but I'm just saying when you're also looking at other outside teams looking in, you have to.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying teams who aren't currently in it. I'm saying teams who are not really considered.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Next game.
But to look up Colts playoff odds.
Patriots at Dolphins. Dolphins minus 9.5. And I think this line may move because of news that we found out earlier today.
Yeah, about Tyreek possibly not playing. I bet he plays. I mean,
I bet he does too.
But Patriots, I'm going to pick Dolphins. Patriots did play them well earlier in the year. So I got 9.5. I texted in our group chat. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points for a team that's played well and the Patriots got a big win. It's not like they're going to get all hunky-dory. They're like, okay, we need to now beat the Dolphins. I don't think they will, but I think they're going to compete. But give me Dolphins.
This is the perfect combination for a blowout.
No, it's not. Okay, sure.
I'm not saying it's going to be, but you have a team coming off a big win against a division opponent, and you have another team that a lot of questions are now being asked about them if they are actually truly a like a team that can actually win a Super Bowl. And now it's Patriots going into Miami, which is a place that they've struggled at Miami historically. Like they just had, even with Tom Brady there, they historically struggled at Miami. I think Miami covers this line.
Yeah, I disagree.
I think now Jalen Waddle is another receiver that's been.
These wide receiver twos, all the young wide receiver twos,
like Jalen Waddle,
Pickens.
Yeah, it's been really weird, but I do think Dolphins offense. They only scored 17 points last week and only had one offensive scoring drive. I think they bounced back, and if it was in New England, I would think they would cover this pretty easily. But I think in Miami, warm weather, I like Miami to cover this line, and I think offense bounces back. I think we'll see because Bills offensively they're so inconsistent, and they spotted the Patriots 10 points.
Did you see that J.C. Jackson's been pretty good back with the
Patriots? He's been really good, which was
Chargers.
I think Brandon Staley is just an awful coach.
I mean, yeah,
I don't think a lot of players win in that situation. In that situation.
He's a good defensive coordinator, but when
is he?
Yeah,
he's a bottom
because I think
30%.
I think it's just the whole, everything just crumbles down, and I think
they've never had a good
where he's just a defensive coordinator. I don't know. Give him time where he's just also plus 360 Colts make playoffs.
I'm not doing that. Jets at Giants. Basically a home game for both teams. They share the stadium. Jets -3.
So this was the big game I was talking about, but I'm going to take the Jets. If Daniel Jones and Andrew Thomas play and they get everyone back, I think it'll be really tough.
You know what's sad? And I'm not even trying to hate on the guy, even though that's a narrative, and I don't like Daniel Jones. I think they have a better shot at winning this game with Tyrod Taylor than Daniel Jones.
Here's also the thing. Everyone's talking about Tyrod Taylor.
I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor's been fantastic.
He scored 25 points in the past 2 games.
I know, but I also think he just like
playing Washington, who you just said
you know how like teams it's not just the players.
No,
but
I understand your point.
How they call plays and all that. Like Chicago, that was a very well coached game because they simplified the offense. I think that's what they kind of do with Tyrod. It's not because I think he's better than Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is better.
I think they'll take some things from Tyrod and be like, okay, let's switch it up. Let's switch it up to this with Daniel Jones. Maybe they're trying to overcomplicate it. They did face Bills in a weird game. And then they face Washington, who's terrible. Giants defense is making a return, though, to what they should be with all that front-end talent, even though they still only have 11 sacks. Thibodeau has 5.5.
Yeah, he's been very good the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm. He dropped like a pick 6. That was an easy one. But I still have Jets. I like they had the bye week. Zach Wilson, I think he's playing better. I think him and Garrett Wilson are getting better together. I think that's the key. And Andrew Thomas could be back, but still that right side. So, yeah, give me Jets.
Yeah, I like Jets as well.
It's a tough battle.
I think as long as Zach Wilson doesn't throw the ball, I think they should win this game. Like I think they should be the clear favorites in this game. And you're kind of seeing that even though that it's a road game, they have Jets at -3. But yeah, I think if Zach Wilson takes care of the ball, that defense is going to take care of business. So I like the Jets in this spot. I think they'll run the ball a lot. I don't think the Giants have anybody that can cover Garrett Wilson. And Jets are another team where I would like them to go add a receiver. I know they trade McCole Hardman, but I don't know. I feel like their team was built too much to please Aaron Rodgers because it's just Randall Cobb should not be
Hunter
consistent playing receiver.
I'm all in.
But yeah, I think Jets win this game. Next game, very interesting game in my opinion. Jacksonville at the Steelers. Jacksonville -2.5.
Gosh, this is a game where it's like it's interesting, but at the same time, I don't think it'll be good. But I have Jacksonville just because, as I was saying earlier, I don't fully trust the Steelers. I don't fully trust Jacksonville either. Mm-hmm. And you had them in. That was your hypothetical playoff matchup, and I was saying like how that'd be the least watched. But I'm taking Trevor. I think that win against the Saints was good to at least get their offense going, even though the defense sort of let Derek Carr pick it up at the end. I got Jags and probably a weird non-close one of those. Give me Trevor. I'm taking Trevor. I think he's going to improve.
I'll take the Steelers. If this is in Jacksonville, I would take Jacksonville. But I like Steelers a lot at home.
They're due for a loss. They're due.
I think Jaguars are too. I think that game last Thursday had no business of being a final drive to tie the game type of game. It was 17. I believe it was 17. Was that 17-0? It was 24-9 at one point. I believe it was 17-0, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if I really trust Jacksonville. I mean, Calvin Ridley's supposed to be his number one guy.
That's not working out so far.
At 5 yards. I think Etienne's been really good. Is he really going to score another 2 touchdowns? He scored 2 touchdowns in 3 straight weeks.
They need it. Yeah.
Are we really going to bank on that?
I'm not big on them, but I just think they'll be.
I like Steelers defense a lot. Mm-hmm. I think Kenny Pickett in the fourth quarter has shown that he's actually really clutch. And I think Deontay Johnson coming back is huge for this offense. You actually have a guy that you could trust underneath. And George Pickens, I think, is a stud. He's catching like 15, 16 yards a catch. So
they've won all their close games. They're due to lose a close game, man. They're due
can Jacksonville be 6-2? Yeah. But I feel like
I don't see Steelers at 5-2. That's the thing.
It's weird.
When they face Tennessee and Green Bay, are they going to have a chance to be 7-2? I can't see it.
What's their next 2 games after this one?
Tennessee and Green Bay. Tennessee, who could be Derrick Henry, Hopkins.
Both are supposed to be gone.
No, that's what I'm saying. They could be gone.
I don't. That's not gonna. I'm gonna stay with my pick. I think Steelers win this game.
I know. I almost got you there.
Next game, Eagles against your beloved, really good defense, Washington Commanders.
Eyes of miss.
Eagles minus 6.5.
Okay, Washington does play Philly really, really well. But I'm still going the Eagles. I'm not picking this upset. Even with Hurts' knee injury, I think Washington's bad. They lost 14-7 to the Giants. They're very they're Tampa-y.
Oh, I don't. God,
I
don't even know. I think that's a compliment.
Probably is a compliment. It probably is a compliment. But
Sam Howell.
He has these throws under pressure that look so good. And
I know, but
like, what?
Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson are way too unproductive for their talent, especially Jahan Dotson.
Well, they say Dotson is like not running routes fully and stuff, so I don't know. But Terry McLaurin, is there like a weird?
Like if I'm Washington, I would trade Terry McLaurin.
I feel like Terry McLaurin, like is he?
Terry McLaurin's 28.
I still don't think I truly know what Terry McLaurin is, how good he is. Like he could be overrated or underrated. I don't know.
I think he's a very high-end wide receiver 2.
And no, you mean that, but are you saying he's not top 32 receiver? Because I think
no, I mean like if you were building a team, would you want him? I don't know if I would want him as my number 1. I'm not saying he's bad, but I think as a number 2, I think he'd be a very good compliment to a number 1.
Him or Higgins?
God, so tough because Higgins has been so underwhelming. But like, I'll take Higgins.
I think
I'll take Higgins.
I'm taking Terry, and I don't even know how good he is. I truly don't. I know his stats have been really good, but it's just weird. But
Sam Howell's also on pace for being sacked 97 times. Or it's something crazy like that. It's like 96,
97? Jeez.
Yes.
Let's see how many. 6, 5. Okay, wait. 15, and that's 21, 30, 4. He's been sacked 40 times.
So it is not because we're not even halfway through the year, technically.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And part of that's his fault. And I think the reason I think Eagles cover this, and here's the reason why. So Eagles, I think the last time they faced Washington, they didn't really take them seriously. And now this time it's like, okay, we're not going to let them stick around this game. So I think Philly, I think they put the hammer down pretty early, and I think the pass rush dominates this game.
Yeah, Philly. I'm excited about this next one.
Really?
No, I'm excited to tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. Texans at Panthers. Texans minus 3.
Well, okay. Teams do not go 0-17, especially teams that have shown some stuff. The Panthers are 20. The Panthers are a middle of the pack back end team. 23rd in points scored, at least on offense. 23rd points scored, 23rd yards.
Wait, these are Panthers
22nd passing, 23rd rushing, 22nd time of possession, 14th third down efficiency.
What team is this? What team is
Carolina? So it's not great, but they're not going to continue to lose. And this is perfect. Bryce Young. Everyone's saying how Stroud should have been the first pick, but you know what? The Texans have the least amount of sacks in the NFL. Panthers, big issue. Their offensive line is bad. The passing offense has found success. The rushing offense has had some success.
All I've heard is like either detriments to Carolina or some stuff. That's all I've heard so far.
But this is how the NFL works, Logan. I think I've lost enough money these past few weeks to realize it. Teams win these type of games. The Texans, everyone's kind of a little high on the Texans. But they barely beat the Steelers. Or no, they whipped the Steelers.
They dominated Steelers.
No, but they whipped them. It was like the late touchdown and garbage. And who else did they beat? They barely beat the Saints. They barely beat the Saints.
I was saying, like, what are you on about?
They barely beat the Saints. They got them mixed up. Against the Steelers, they beat them by a little more than they should have. Lose to Falcons, and Falcons are still a mess. But I think Falcons are about to, not the point, but barely beat the Saints, who I think are terrible. I think this is a Bryce Young game. I don't do weekly fantasy where it's like or daily fantasy.
Yeah, you pick like.
I'd pick Bryce Young. I think he goes off, and I think this is an Adam Thielen week. Panthers have got some interceptions. They've had some sacks. Brian Burns, Bryce Young, Adam Thielen. They're all going to have great games. Give me Panthers, man. I'm hyped. Bryce Young, let's go.
This is the first pick against the second overall pick. So I think it's also another interesting component in this game. I like the Texans, though. I think
No one's really talking about it. You realize that? I haven't seen one thing about that.
Yeah, I know. But I think it's been because of how underwhelming. I don't know. See, I think C.J. Stroud's been super good. I think
he's also due for a letdown.
The Panthers. I don't know. I agree with you in terms of if they are going to win a game, it is this week. But I don't see him pulling it off. And I think Texans coming off the bye. I love DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. I'm not even sure Frank Reich's that good of a head coach anymore.
Yeah,
ever since Andrew Luck retired, he's not been good. He did hand over the play calling, but I don't know if that's gonna be much of an upgrade. I think the Texans, system-wise, I think they're better. Coaching-wise, I think they're better. And I think they're the better quarterback. So I like
the Mummy's better.
Yeah, I think Texans win this game. Next game, interesting game. Browns at Seahawks. Seahawks are -3.5.
I think this one's kind of simple. Deshaun's not playing. Browns should have lost to the Colts. Seahawks, I still don't think they're that great, but they're good enough. DK should be back, right?
I think he should be, but
I
don't know if it's worth rushing him back, to be quite honest.
I mean, it's just how he is. Is he healthy or not? I mean, but
if this game was in Cleveland, I'd probably play DK. But it's in Seattle. I think you may want to because he has a hip and a rib injury.
No, yeah, so it's just whatever works. I think I like Seattle here. I think the Browns. They got one bet I hit with the parlay and them 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're due to lose, and I don't think Seattle's that great. But I got Seahawks.
Yeah, I like Seahawks in this game. I don't think Browns won't have Jerome Ford. PJ Walker will start. Browns offensively is kind of uninspiring. I think it's really reliant on this defense, and I think Seattle has the personnel to overcome this defense. And Cleveland's defense is much. If you look at their home road splits, they are a much different defense on the road or at home. So on the road, I think they struggle. I mean, they gave up 38 points to Gardner Minshew and the Colts.
Yeah, they allowed just dumb plays. Myles Garrett was amazing, though. Gosh.
Yeah. So I think, and they gave up like over 400 yards of offense. I think Seattle wins this one pretty convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, Chiefs at Broncos. Chiefs -7.
I don't think this needs much discussion. Neither does the next game. I'm taking Chiefs. They're really good. Really good.
I'll take Chiefs.
Broncos got their Packers win, so
yeah, and I think Nick Bolton loss is definitely huge for his defense. But the good thing about Chiefs defense and how it's constructed, there's a lot of depth within the linebacker room. So I still think Chiefs win this pretty convincingly. I think it could be a blowout, especially because I think Mahomes plays a lot better on the road, and especially at Denver. We've seen that success. So I think Chiefs win this one. Next game, Ravens at Cardinals. Ravens -8.5.
The Cardinals, I mean, they look good, but they're still. You gotta respect what they're doing with their talent. But in the end, I'm just still taking, again, one of the top 3 teams in the league. I'm going to take the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll take Ravens. I think the only discussion in this game is if you're taking the points or if you think Arizona covers. I think Ravens win this game.
I'm going to touch the line. It's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Ravens.
You don't see 8.5 a lot. That's a weird number.
Next game, I'm interested to see where your pick is here. The Bengals at the 49ers. I really should have bet that. Before Monday night, I was going to bet. I actually had it loaded in my phone. Cincinnati +6, and I should have done it because now it's 49ers -3.5.
But I think that changed though. It was 5.5 today, Logan. It just changed because of the Purdy news.
That is true. So now I really wish I took Bengals +6. I totally forgot the concussion.
I threw them in that teaser I sent y'all.
I think I got to take Bengals money line now.
No,
I'm really gonna trust Sam Darnold to beat.
I was before the Purdy thing. I was like, oh, am I gonna pick? I was thinking
no. Before Purdy thing, I think I also had Bengals money. I was also gonna put Bengals money line in a separate bet, but I saw
I was
+6
thinking
on Monday
Bengals, and now like no Purdy. Respect to Darnold, I'm gonna take Joe Burrow. I think he's, as I said earlier, I think he's healthier. So I think sad to say because one, my Ravens bets, but also the Chiefs always struggle with the Bengals in the playoffs and make it really tough. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 weeks. It's like, oh yeah, the Bengals are the 4th best team in the league. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I still think there's a chance Bengals win this division.
No, yeah, there is. But Lamar's going to win MVP. And
yeah, I think I have Bengals in this game. I actually thought they were going after Monday night. I thought Bengals were going to win this game, but now that Purdy's out, like you said, which I totally for whatever reason forgot, and I was like, why is it only at 3.5? But makes sense. I do think Bengals win this. 49ers, if Trent Williams is not back, that offensive line outside Trent Williams is not good. I think you kind of saw that on Monday night where the Vikings were able to create pressure a lot. So I like Bengals in this one. And if 49ers lose 3 straight, it's going to be very interesting how they respond in week 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now to close out the week, we have our 2 primetime games Sunday night before the year. Yeah, before the year, I don't even know if you can even say this is going to be like a really good game. But we have Bears at Chargers. Chargers minus 8.5.
Like, Chargers should win. Chargers, very confident they win, but it's like this may be a game where it's like I'm tired of watching the Chargers, man. They're just a mess. Even though Justin Herbert, I'm finally having a little bit of pause with Justin Herbert. He's just not doing it enough. You could say what you want. He's not doing it enough. He has a new offensive coordinator. He's not making the plays that he needs to when they need to be made. But I have Chargers, and it would be good for my health if I sort of just slightly pay attention to this game and maybe get some work done Sunday night. But I'll probably just watch it anyways and watch. Yeah, give me Chargers. The Bears. They're the Bears. My boy Tyson, he's not bad at quarterback, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, I'll take Chargers. I think, like I was talking about the Ravens game, I think the only question in this game is the spread.
There's 3 8.5 games this week. That's weird.
Yeah, I think Chargers should win. They're in a must-win situation. I think you're going to see a very desperate team, even though they're playing a pretty bad team in the Bears. Mm-hmm. I think you have a desperate team that needs to win games. So I like the Chargers in this game. Mm-hmm. Monday night. Oh my God,
another bad game. Lions are gonna.
I can't believe Raiders got. If you look at the Raiders, they got a lot of primetime games.
Oh, they're Vegas, man. They're Vegas.
I know, but Jimmy Garoppolo, dude.
He hasn't ever played though. I think they need Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Raiders at Lions. Lions minus 8.5.
No, Lions just got molly whooped. They're gonna come back with a vengeance.
Yeah,
give me the Lions.
Give me the Lions. I think Lions blow the Raiders out of the water. I mean, Raiders has lost by 18 to the Bears, so I think Lions wins pretty handedly. So that will do it for our episode this week. Next week we will have Week 8 reactions. And
Sorry about that 30-second thing earlier. My roommates were making a little too much noise. I had to quiet them down.
Okay, I was wondering I was going to ask you what that was.
They were being too no. I had to quiet them down.
Yeah. But, that'll do it for our episode this week. Next week, we'll do Week 8 reactions, and we will see what our other segments are for next week. But as always, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and always leave comments, suggestions of what you want us to talk about.
Peace.